What's going on, guys? Rivero here. First and foremost, the map can be downloaded right now. It is not finished, obviously, but all the way up to getting the Master Sword, it is now playable all the way up to that point. Pretty much everything works up to here. There's a few things still missing here and there, but for the most part, everything is playable. There are a few glitches still in the game. Most of them I've found and already got rid of, but if you do find any, there is a Discord link in the description along with the map download. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy that. Now let's get on to some new updates that are not in the downloadable version yet. First and foremost, we have Lake Hylia filled with water finally. I ended up finally cloning this area, so there's now this one and this one. Basically it changes from adult to child. It'll get a little bit more complicated because I'll have to get rid of a few things from the child version once you defeat the water temple boss, because I need to make sure he doesn't show up as adult Link. Which leads us into our next new thing, which is the owl. He does look different now. Better mention that first, because that's kind of a big thing. But yeah, so we can go ahead and talk to him, and you might notice that the text is a little bit different. That's something I just recently finished, which is all the text up to what I have so far is now colorized like in the game. This took a while, but it was definitely worth it. So we can go ahead and hop on and fly all the way to Hyrule Castle. And there we are. Next up is the next owl, so we'll go ahead and see him all the way at the top of Death Mountain. Also, another thing I should mention that I'm currently working on is signs. I plan on making the Kakariko Sword and Master Sword able to break certain signs. They will be oak signs, and the ones that you can't break, like in the game, will be these. So we can go ahead and talk to the owl up here, and he'll tell us we need to meet the Great Fairy first, so let's do just that. Go ahead and throw a bomb at this wall and enter the Great Fairy Fountain. Before we get into the Great Fairy real quick, I will mention that there are some new things with the Ocarina. First off, if you have no songs learned yet, it'll pretty much just tell you that, so people won't get confused once you first get it, because I knew there was a little bit of confusion with that. Once you do get Zelda's Lullaby, the song will appear, and something that's different from the original was that normally the disc would always face a certain direction, so if you're facing this way it would face behind you, but now it is always in front of you. And not that it looks much different than before if you've seen it in a previous video, but the discs all together do look like this. And another nice thing that has changed about it is that people were occasionally having trouble with it being in walls. Now it's a lot easier to make sure it doesn't get stuck in them. It can if you're really close, obviously, but it's not nearly as bad as it was before. So let's go ahead and play this at the Fairy Fountain. And we can now get magic. It doesn't show up unless we're in adventure mode. As you can see, we have 12 levels. So yeah, let's go ahead and head outside to the owl. And we can talk to him and ride on down. One thing to mention about these cutscenes is that I created them a really long time ago with something called a cutscene generator pro or something like that. And at one point it stopped working. So this didn't work for a really long time, but it now works because I figured out how to make it work using data packs. Not that it was that hard, but still something that I couldn't really do beforehand. Next two things that I just recently created is that falling is a lot different than before. As you can see there, I fell a little bit faster than normal. It's a slight side effect for something that'll help greatly later on. One thing being that you can't get to places that you really shouldn't be a lot easier. And another being that some people were having issues with fall damage. Basically, people were having problems where they'd get to this point in the air, and since there was server lag, it would not detect that the player was that close to the ground and not give them slow falling before hitting the ground, in which case they would die. Now it's like activated right away and it's just levitation, so it makes it a lot easier. And another thing that was a problem was these cuckoos, which are so much better than when I first made them. They actually go the direction you want them to go. It's a lot nicer than it was before. Another thing to mention, which to be honest, I don't know if I actually tested. It should work fine though, which was that some people were having issues where they'd throw the cuckoo in the air and they'd take damage and fly into the sky. Yeah, that's completely fixed now. And the cuckoo does not stay motionless in the air, because that was another weird bug that was happening. All fixed. Next up on our list is the graveyard. We have a new enemy. And in we go. A new enemy. Let me grab a sword real quick so we don't kill it instantly. So once you get near one, it'll freeze you in place. When you're in that mode, you cannot hurt it. And if it gets too close, it'll attack you. Navi will tell you to run and jump to get away from its grasp. As you can see, you can run and jump and get away. I'm not taking as much damage as you normally would because I have a lot of protection, but yeah. When you're not in the frozen state, you can hurt it. So as soon as you're able to move around again, that's when you attack. And there we go. Gotta say, I do feel like I did a pretty good job at making these guys freaky. They even basically grab onto you like in the original game. Next up is another new enemy. This one I really like the model for. I'm not so sure about the AI of the enemy, but it's not bad enough to where I think I need to change it right now. So basically the idea is it circles around you, and after a certain point in time, it runs and attacks you, and then goes back into a circle. You can try, but it's usually pretty hard to. I made sure it's not that easy to do, where if it hits the wall, it'll just basically go after you after a certain point. Once it attacks you, that's when it gives you the chance to hit it. If we go into adventure, it's invulnerable unless it attacks. So the sound is when you want to attack it. Next up on the list is a side quest. When it is night in Castletown, dogs roam the night finally. Well, I was kind of worried about this. Apparently messing with the cuckoos messed with the dogs a little bit. I'll just have to copy the text like I did with the cuckoos and that should fix it. Hopefully we don't have any problems with it though. So basically if we pick up a random dog and take it to Mama Muyan, that's her real name, she'll be like, "That's not my dog." So we have to make sure to find the right one. Let's just show the other text real quick. I can't find my puppy anywhere. I need to look for it. I need you to look for it. Please. So we can go ahead and... did I grab the wrong dog? So we can go ahead and grab the correct dog, Richard, and take him to Mama Muyan's house. That is her name. And she'll be like, "Richard, this is my little Richard. Thank you, thank you. I'll give you this as a reward." And a heart piece. If you complete the quest again after it being day and night again, you will get a blue rupee, I believe. And that's another side quest done. Another little update, which is just more of a nice touch than anything. If we go to Zora's domain as an adult, it will now be frozen over. Even the waterfall is all frozen. If you go to the areas where the Zoras would pop up, they do not show up. And if we go back to a child, everything's back to normal. Only thing that I couldn't really figure out was that the waterfall has to flow down naturally. So once you come back as a child, it'll be like a little weird, but otherwise everything else is completely normal. Even the Zoras show back up. Another place that is a lot more finished than it was before is Kakariko Village. I think the only main things I actually did was create this house, add a few boxes, and that's pretty much it. But now NPCs are visible. Right now it's night, so most of them are inside, but we have the beggar here, which now works as well. There is a shop for it now. So let's make it day real quick. And we can see that the two twin brothers are over here. One of them hints about the treasure, which is the hookshot, which I will hopefully be making shortly. I've been mentioning that I was going to make it a lot, and I just keep delaying it pretty much. But anyways, we have some people in here. We have Talon sleeping. And if we make it night over here, one of the twins is in here. I'm not sure where the other one goes, if he is even findable at night, if that makes sense. But yeah, so we have a few people, just kind of flavor text pretty much, nothing too important. And finally in Kakariko is a decently big side quest, but it is not completely finished yet in a sense. So, in a way, this starts the quest to get the big Goron sword, the one that doesn't break. But there's also kind of like a middle side quest in it, which is if we hatch this cuckoo and we talk to Talon, it'll wake him up, giving us the chance to pretty much allow him to go back to the ranch once it is completely finished. And we can go back to Anju and get Kojiro, which nothing can be done with this right now, but will be soon. And finally, the last thing that I've done so far up to this point. Lon Lon Ranch. This has been agony. There is so much in Lon Lon Ranch. As you can see, I have gold blocks like just kind of everywhere just to make sure I don't forget things, because these things are not here in the adult version. Right off the bat, you can see that there's a gate here, which is not visible when you're a child. And we have Ingo in new clothes. He talks a lot. We're not going to read any of the text, because why would we? You can read that on your own. More text. Even better. So let's go ahead and play the first minigame. We go up to Ingo. We need money. Good thing I have a big buttload of money in this box. So we can get a riding horse game. And new music. Sorta. So we play Epona's song, otherwise she runs away from us. And we can ride around, hop over these fences, get blue rupees. Just overall a great time. If you ride a different horse like this is the only other one you can ride. You can't actually jump this fence, which is something I didn't realize about the original game, which is kind of cool, making Epona a lot more special than one might think. Now, before we go ahead and finish up the game, we can talk to Ingo whether on horse or not. Different texts appear, and we can click I'm done before the race is over to finish up. If you click it again, obviously nothing happens. I've thought of everything. So after you do that, you gotta play the horse riding game one more time, play Epona's song one more time, and go talk to Ingo. You're getting better, how about a little race? So now we have to race. Hopefully I have enough money for 10, yes, nice. I put a converter on both sides, that way whether you're in here or out there, you can convert any rupees if you have enough. So let's race, we'll start here, and it'll say once you get on the horse, the race starts. So let's go! Do 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 do. You're slow. Haha! You can't beat us. So, it's a little difficult to program this race correctly, because it's the closer that you are to him, the faster he gets, which is actually pretty similar to the original game, other than the fact that the farther ahead you get, he still stays at the same speed. But anyways, once you win, it'll make you race again. So let's do it again. This time he's way harder. Epona, why'd you do that? So honestly, you can't really beat him at all through the first portion of this. It's only right at the end where he slows down. I just thought this was the easiest way to do it. And as you can see, we pass by him and win the horse race. Now, as you saw, we did not teleport or anything. That's because it's really buggy right now. It gets worse from here on out, pretty much. So, in this point, normally we jump the fence and escape with Epona, but let's just see what happens. We got out, no Epona, but let's just relog in that sense. Wow! Yeah, it's very glitchy. I've reported the bug, so hopefully it gets fixed. I got that teleport working, but even then it doesn't always work, so that's nice. But we have a little bit more text, everything's back to normal at Lon Lon Ranch. I'm actually surprised Epona got here because I was having so much trouble getting her to be in this place. But yeah. That's as far as I've gotten with Lon Lon Ranch. It's so close to being finished. All that's left is an obstacle course minigame. And if you win that, I believe you just get a cow in your house. So, it's almost done, but not quite. Still got a few more things to do. See, that time it worked that time. That time. It's very weird, because sometimes even when you get teleported there, it will teleport the horse only, and you'll be standing there, but you'll have the tags for being in Hyrule Field, so you literally just can't escape Lon Lon Ranch after that point. So I'm just unfortunately going to have to hold off finishing this area until an update rolls around where horse teleporting is not so buggy. Everything else involving it does work, even if playing Epona's song does teleport her after you obtain her. And that's about it. Hope you enjoyed. There was a lot in this one. I've been working pretty diligently. Next up, I can finally start continuing on with the adult section. First thing being the hook shot and blocks of time, which are first seen over here, blocking the path over here, teaching you how to use them for the first time pretty much. I still need to retexture them to actually look something more like a block of time than this. But yeah, that is what I'm currently doing next. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you in the next one. Map download is in the link in the description, and same for the Discord channel.